And then take your blanket if you haven't already and roll it up like a snake. And then place it on your mat and let's lay on top of it so that it is above the pubic bone, but below the navel. And then rest the tops of the feet down. Rest the chest, maybe elbows out to the sides here. And rest the head, either on your hands or on your mat. And then just kind of move the hips back and forth here. Feeling into the sacral chakra. And all the compression that is present right now. Just let the whole front body release and relax. Down, down, down. And feel the open space above you, so at your back. Give yourself the next few breaths to just come into more internal awareness that these shapes are going to provide sensations. And our job here is to really pay attention to the way things feel. And also to observe the mind as we move in and out of shape. I'm going to be spending our time thinking about the mantra for Gemini is I think. In your next breath in, lift your head up. And then rest the opposite side of the face. Just notice how the neck feels over here. It's really important that we are aware of our thoughts. And it's also important that we remind ourselves that we are not our thoughts. We have thoughts. We're thinking all the time. But we're not the mind. The mind is a part of us. The mind is important because it helps us to function in this world. It helps us to process everything that's happening around us. But we're not the mind. We're the seat of consciousness behind the mind, and we just observe ourselves and the thoughts that we have. And start to bring your forehead to center. And then your hands to slide underneath your shoulders. Spread out each of your fingers and notice the pads of your fingers pressing into the mat. And notice the pads of the palms pressing into the mat. And then curl your back toes under. Press your hips now back towards your heels. And then come up into tabletop and let's slide this blanket off to the side. And then in your tabletop shape, arch the back deeply in cat spine or cat pose. Drop the chin to the chest and shift around here into the upper back and shoulders and even the back of the neck. Notice the tailbone kind of curling under here. And then drop your belly, lift your chin as you inhale, and linger here in your cow pose. Pull the shoulder heads back, lift up the chin a little bit more. And notice the arch in your back and the belly, how it stretches and feels. And let's move back to cat pose. Tuck the chin deeply around the spine. And then one more cow pose. Drop the belly, lift the chin. And then come to a flat back. And set your right foot in between your hands. Lengthen back your left leg. We're feeling into the front of the left hip flexor. And then bring your hands to the kneecap. And notice if you're collapsing weight forward, pull up through the inner thighs. Roll your shoulder heads back so across your collarbone broadens. We're working with the throat and the heart chakra in Gemini season. Well, back bends are so good to stimulate these energy centers. Maybe the head drops back a little bit more. You keep your hands on the kneecap. Keep breathing. And then start to send your gaze forward, hinge forward, and release your hands to the inside of your foot. Walk your right foot towards the outer edge of the mat. And then take a breath in as we again lengthen the belly and the back, pull the heart forward, lift the chin. And then there's an option here to lower onto your forearms. And just let the head release down. Press into all three corners of that front foot so you can feel the inner thigh fire up a little bit more. And then you can release the pressure on the foot. An option to roll onto the outer edge of the foot, opening up the knee a little bit towards the side wall. Your inner thigh and groin might open up a little bit more. And relax your face and let your breath deepen. New moon energy is slower than full moon energy, as you can imagine. And we're going to move a little slower here in our transitions and stay a little longer in our shapes so that we can travel deeper into the body, into the deep tissue of the body. Give ourselves the time to stay and tune in. And while I might be quiet, I'm still here with you, breathing. And start to lift yourself up onto your palms. Work your front foot in between them. And then walk your hands back as you straighten the front leg. Press the heel forward. So half splits, your back hip stacked over your back knee. And inhale as you lift up to pull the spine long, pull your chin forward, and then exhale, fold. If you don't have yoga props at home, blankets are always great. And we always have blankets and pillows. But consider getting yourself some yoga blocks and even a yoga bolster so you can really support the body in whatever shape we take. Blocks help to bring the floor closer. And they're also nice to use in certain ways. We can add compression to the body. Let's take 3 more breaths. And start to lift your gaze. Come forward so that the knee stacks over the ankle. Hands to inside the foot. And then come back into tabletop. Drop the belly, lift the chin in cow. Exhale, tuck the chin, round in cat. One more, drop the belly, lift the chin, come into cow. And exhale to cat. And then come to a flat back. And get your left foot now in between your hands. Right leg scoots back. And then when you're ready, hands to the kneecap. Shoulders draw down here. So we broaden across the collarbone, shoulder heads pull back. And then lift your chin. Really stable in our foundation. We notice the three corners of the front foot really rooting into the mat and your back knee too. Keep breathing. Just releasing any blockages in the throat and in your heart. Start to gaze forward, hinge forward. Hands touch down inside the foot. Walk left foot out. Turn toes slightly. And then breathe in as you lengthen belly and back. And then option to lower onto the forearms. Just release the chin to the chest. Press into the three corners of the front foot and notice how that informs the inner thigh. And then option to release and roll onto the outer edge of the foot, opening up the knee a little more. And start to lift yourself up onto palms. If you've lowered down, work front foot in between them. And then come back into that half split shape. Press the front heel forward so we find the length in the back of the left hamstring. And then inhale, lift up, pull the chin towards the toes. And then exhale as you fold. And just let the head hang heavy. You can find a little movement and it feels good. Again, how can you be curious? Can you be in more wonderment? If you've grown really just kind of disenchanted by your life, maybe put the intention forth to tune into the body's intelligence around how you can bring more childlike energy into your world. Once again, feel joyful and happy. Feel alive, inspired. And start to lift your gaze. Slide the foot back. And then bring the hands to the inside of it. And bring the leg back into tabletop. And drop the belly, lift the chin, come into cow. And exhale, tuck the chin, round into cat. And then come to a flat back. Open the knees up. And set the hips back towards the heels, child's pose. You could bring your blanket to rest your head on it, your pillow, or you could bring a block underneath the head if it doesn't reach the earth. Walk the arms out nice and long in front of you. And then walk them over to the right, the palms. Sink the hips a little to the left. Bring the right arm down by your side. Reach the left arm out a little further, maybe over a little more. So we're really breathing into the left side body here. I know you can probably feel the compression in your hips and the back of your knees. Just breathe. Find comfort in the steadiness of your breath and breathing in. I am breathing out. Feel the left rib cage expand on your next breath in. And exhale, let it go. And then bring the right arm up as you walk yourself to center. And then let's go over to the left. Sink the hips to the right. Bring left arm down by your side. Reach right arm out a little further. Maybe a little bit deeper over the fingertips walk. Just noticing which side of the body feels like it has more constriction, more resistance. Meet your breath again. Take an inhale as you feel the right rib cage expand. And exhale, let it go. And then start to bring the hands to center. And take one more inhale. And one more exhale. And then start to lift yourself up through tabletop and into downward facing dog. And then in your first downward facing dog, just let the feet pedal up and down. And then start to land into stillness here. Press into the fingertips, the pads of the palms, and then descend the chest a little bit more down towards the thighs. You might bend the knees a little bit more here. Let the head hang heavy. Keep breathing. And then start to bring your feet towards one another. Gaze forward and tiptoe the feet slowly to the top of the mat. Separate them out. Bring opposite hand to opposite elbow. Let your head hang heavy. Back of the knees be soft here, maybe even bent quite a bit, especially if you have really tight hamstrings. Let them bend a lot. Roll the head and the neck around. Just release any tension in the back of the shoulders. And then release the elbows. Bring your feet towards one another. Press into them, tuck the chin, roll yourself up slowly. Inhale the arms up overhead, lift the gaze. And exhale, hands around to your low back. If your hands don't bind together, you could always grab one of your belts or a yoga strap. Widen your feet. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the chin, pull your shoulder heads back, and then carry that length forward. So lead with your chin, lead with your chest. Bend the knees quite a bit here. And then once the head is pointed down, really pull up and out of your shoulder girdle. And breathe. And release the hands down to the earth. And work your feet back towards one another. And then step it back into plank. Drop the knees. Hinge forward. Lower slowly to your belly. Flatten out your feet. Take a breath in as you lift up into cobra. And exhale, bring the chin down to the mat. 2 more cobras. Inhale as you lift up. Exhale, lower down. 1 more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. And then press the hips back to the heels. Forehead down to the earth. Want more? Become a member today.
For $25 a month, you'll receive exclusive content and access to our online library full of classes to take anytime, anywhere.